Welcome to the Unfinished Acre. As you'll learn quickly, it's not just an acre, but it definitely is unfinished, thus the channel name. The channel is all about property ownership. I wouldn't necessarily call it homesteading, but maybe that's an appropriate term, but really it's about property ownership and what those of us who have property love to do on our properties. It's a whole gamut of things, right? Improving the property, having animals, growing crops, vegetable gardens, landscaping. So glad you're along for the ride. Today's just another day. It's going to be a hot, muggy, we'll call it downright nasty day today, but I guess that's the way it goes. You can't ask Mother Nature for it to be 64 degrees and light breeze every day, which would be about perfect for outdoor projects. You know, you can do a light layer or just a long sleeve. Today's going to be I think 90, maybe 90 plus. Lots of humidity, so it's not ideal. We'll probably change layers halfway through the day, but that's okay. Quite a bit on the agenda today. The first thing we're going to do is just get kind of our gear set up. I've got my gator back there I'm going to load up. And the first thing on my list, I am a list guy, is we're going to burn some of the tree piles that we stacked up, built up last fall. I'll explain that in more detail, why there are all these trees. But we're going to start burning those trees. So there's no fire warning, fire hazard in this area. We've had lots of rain in the last few weeks. Actually, the river, which I'll show you in a few minutes too, is as high as I've seen it all year. It's not quite out of its what I'd call the first bank, but it's definitely higher than anything all year. So there's no concern for the fire, you know, getting out of hand. And as you can see behind me and all around, it's very green, which is great. It's good to have the rain and good for the gardens, the grass, animals, everything, trees. Newly planted trees, something else we've been working on. We'll talk about that later. So today we're just going to burn some piles. The reason I want to burn them is just to get them kind of knocked down, because we did just recently have a storm, which unfortunately means more trees. I do try to cut up some wood, save some wood, split it, put it in IBC totes and use it for bonfires, give it to friends and family. But I got way more than I can handle and deal with. So one of the other tasks today is moving some logs that I may not actually get to, and I might end up just burning those also. So let's get started. We got to get our gear kind of organized, all the things we need to get these pits started, these fire pits. Or I guess it wouldn't be a fire pit, it'd be a, I don't know, we'll just call it, it's the dump, what I call it, but it's where we've stacked up lots of trees over the last year. So let's get our gear together. If you heard the noise, that's just the sprinkler running here for half hour or so this morning on the garden. Garden looks pretty good. It was planted a little later than we would have liked, but it's catching up. This is the granary. This is where I store all the things that have value but maybe don't go in the main shop. So the first thing we need, we're going to need a tank. And it looks like we already have one here with our little flamethrower starter on. And that feels pretty heavy, so that's probably good enough. And that's going to be our starter. Isn't that perfect? That's all grass I cut down from the landscaping last fall. Yeah, I think last fall. So this should start just by looking at it. boy, she's muggy already. Whew. Breaking a sweat just hooking up a trailer. That's not right. Let's see. Uh, 50 years old, do you think you'd learn? Oh, I feel silly. Well, it started. The pit is on fire. Okay, now that I've caught my breath and oh, silly boy. I did put a fair amount of gas. Part of that was off camera, so that's why she made the boom. And anyway, so my goal here is to burn this pit. These are primarily trees from last fall when we improved the park. And for first time viewers on this channel, we'll talk about the park many times. It's one of my favorite spots. It's actually just through the woods there that I've improved over the years. So lots of trees that have dried out for not quite a year. It was about last September, October when we took out a good number of trees to clean out the river bottom. Then you can see a fair number of trees here, branches, limbs, still with leaves on it. That's from the storm just in the past 2 weeks. So, you know, that's green lumber, green wood, I guess, not lumber. So I'm not sure how well that's gonna burn. But once it gets hot enough, I'm pretty confident it'll burn well. We have a chance of rain tonight and then a better chance tomorrow. So I thought, good timing, let's get this started. There's a lot here to burn. I'm not necessarily gonna start it from both sides. I kind of want to keep it, I don't know if it contained is the word, but I want it to just let it do its own thing. I don't know if you can tell by the trees down in here. This is my south pit, I call it. It's where I bring dirt and things that just need to have a home for a long period of time. There was a hole here at one point and we dug and buried quite a few things. So the point is we're kind of tucked in the trees here. There's not a lot of wind, so it's not going to get a lot of air to, you know, really make this fire just get super hot. But because it's as dry as it is, I'm hopeful it'll do its thing. So I have another tree pile just on the other side of the park. Same thing, trees from last fall, and I'd like to get that started today. That's actually right along the riverbank, so we'll probably go there next. Yeah, I think we'll just let this get started and then come back and monitor it. And that's kind of the goal all day, is just work on other little projects, but monitor the fire here. So this is my second burn pile. Again, this is fresh from just the last storm we had. We lost at least a dozen mature trees. Still not done getting them all cleaned out. So another project for the acre. And then a little path there that will go up when we leave here, and that goes off back into the park. So just some perspective, here's the river. Now, I mentioned the river is as high as it's been all year. It's hard to kind of give you the perspective, but obviously we're right up here. There's actually a bank right here, okay? And then it drops down, oh, let's call it 10 feet. Oh, maybe 20 feet. And then it sits in its, what I'll call the first bank. So again, hard to visualize. I'll show you, in another video later when the river's down. But right in that area there is actually a path that goes into, down along the riverbank to the first bank. So it's up out of the first bank. Try to make this simple as I can. And it's as high as it's been all year. This is the Red River, flows north. It's kind of a dirty, muddy, it's not a recreational type river, I'll say it that way. There's fish in here. I've heard many stories of walleyes, obviously catfish, some of the other species. I'm not a big fishing person, so I don't spend any time throwing a line in. Certainly might think about it later in retirement at another day, but it is interesting and nice to have, water on your property. I wish it was not the Red River. I wish it was, a smaller river, didn't flood as much, maybe a gravel bottom. Of course, I'm painting the perfect picture here, but, a river that you could want to wade in and let the dog play in, that type of thing. But it's not. It is what it is. I feel blessed with what I have. So this is the Red River. It does flood, I wouldn't say often, but it floods. We've had years where, where I'm standing, just for perspective, it's probably 25 to 30 feet above where we're standing right now. So I'll spin you around. You can kind of see up over in that area. That's essentially the final grade, right? The field level. And in those worst years of flooding, it's up above that. So at times, my best way to say it, it can be pretty volatile, but it is what it is. So this pit that we need to burn today, the second pit, is down here along the river. Again, lots of weeds, lots of green, lots of no reason for concern that if this fire gets really hot, it's gonna go nowhere. So I'll try to be a little bit more careful this time, maybe not as much gas, or just use the torch and get her started. Well, that went a little more smooth, a little less reckless. I do feel silly for how that last one went. All I can say is should have known better. So go ahead if you want to share comments on danger and careless. I fully agree. Can only say that you'll do better and you'll learn as you go. This one's definitely started out just fine. I used no gas. It's just dry, and I figured that on top of the fact that, I don't know, feels like it's already 80 degrees out here. It's very humid today, but I think there's really no question that the wood is generally pretty dry. The bigger logs probably are going to take some time because they're not, you know, they've not been split. So those big pieces, and there's all kinds of more buried in there, they're definitely going to take some time to burn up. But I just felt a little breeze at my back. You can kind of see it's pushing it that way. So it's pushing it towards any hot embers or whatnot, pushing it into the woods where everything's green and lush and should be no cause for concern. So I'm just going to let it do its thing. I'm not going to push it. I'm not going to try to start it in multiple places. It'll just burn as it goes. The challenge with this type of burn is, you know, at some point, maybe 3-4 hours, I'm going to want to get pieces and try to drop them in. So I'm thinking I'll bring the track loader down and see if I can do that. I don't want to get obviously too close to the heat, because just standing here, and we're about 8 yards away, you know, it's already feels pretty dang hot. So I don't want to negatively affect any of my equipment by trying to combine the pile and move things in. So, you know, there's going to be hot embers in there for, shoot, 3-4 days, maybe longer, right? Unless we get a real heavy rain. So there's plenty of opportunity to kind of combine the pile. And if I have to burn it again, you know, in a week or two, especially with all the work that we have yet to drop a few more trees, that's fine. So we'll just let it do its thing here and come back frequently and check on it. So this is the area we call the park. You can maybe see the brown grass there. I just sprayed that to kill it off because that's quack or grass I don't want. Then you'll see the nice lush grass here. This is grass that I put in over the last few years. Obviously it's, you know, it looks great, at least in my view. It's kind of manicured, goes up to the building up there. You can probably see over there, that's a tree that just fell the other day. After the storm, it was leaning and the root ball was partially out of the ground, and I thought, well, at some point I'm either going to have to dig it out or it's going to fall, and it only took a few days. So this is the park, what we'll call the developed park, and then this is the undeveloped part of the park, where last year we came in and took out a fair number of trees to just open it up. It looks fantastic. Still a fair amount of work. That's just one of the projects on the list right now. And we just left that north burn pit, coming back down here to the south burn pit. Looks to me like it's taken off nicely. It's not, you know, out of control by any means. So we'll just drive by here and get out of the heat, and then step out. Oh yeah, she's really burning down good. All right, let's stop and take a peek. Okay, it's really expanded already just in that short amount of time, and oh, she's hot. So we are all of 10 yards right here, and there's a lot of heat coming off there. You can see all kinds of, you know, all kinds of embers. So I'm pleased already. This is probably going to burn down a lot faster than I thought. I thought it would take, you know, the better part of the day, but just by how dry the wood is and the conditions today, probably a good thing there isn't a lot of wind, just to keep it more controlled. Again, I'm not concerned because everything around is green outside of a few dead trees here and there. But if it got out of hand, right, worst case, sometimes I have to think about that. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I have the water trailer up there. You can easily get... Well, there you go. GoPro even tells you when it's too hot. I lost the clip and it shut off while I was talking because it said it was too hot. So I backed away now. We're kind of on the south side of it. We're a good 15-20 yards away, 60 feet. I don't feel the heat like I did before. So yeah, I think it's it's working exactly as I hoped. Now, definitely gonna lose. Well, it keeps shutting off because it says it's too hot, so I guess it's hot. Burning down great. It's taking the stuff that I just piled in the last week, the stuff right on the fringe there. So far, no issues. I think we'll go back, check the other one. Kind of want to go back and forth here while it's really good and, you know, good and hot. Is that the right way to say that? It's really moving, right? Eventually it's going to start to settle down, things will fall in, and it's going to be super hot then too. But we'll just go back, check the other one here quick. All right, same thing here. That thing is really taking off. That smoke is from, or the heavier smoke, I guess I should say, is from the leaves from the recent cutting. But yeah, that pile is really burning up nice already. Kind of nice. It's right next to the river. Obviously it could, you know, I'm always thinking worst case, it could get out of hand, but I just said it a few times, say it again, I don't see it going anywhere because of the weeds, the green. You know, it's not like the fall where things are dead and highly susceptible to burning. So that looks good. I don't even think we're gonna go down there because it's likely very hot. Now, again, there's logs that are kind of falling off the pile here on these edges. Those are the things, once it burns down and it's not quite as hot, you know, in your face, up close, we'll try to maybe grab those and get them into the pit. Could bring the excavator down. That would be the better tool than the track loader, because then you're not quite as close. It's still hard on anything when you're in that heat, but we'll just let her burn down, do its thing. Looks good. Back here at the south pit, thought we'd check on it again. I'm just going back and forth. I'll share something with you here. That's my little, call it turkey feeder. We've been blessed to have, you know, a dozen, 6, 7, 8, depending on the day, turkeys on the property. In a rural setting, they're great. Yes, they make a mess. They leave behind their poo, but it's nice to have some additional wildlife around. So last fall, I decided, you know what, I want to try to provide additional nourishment, so maybe they stick around. So I built this to try to ultimately feed the turkeys and keep the deer out. So it's actually pretty close here to the south pit, so I just thought I would show that with you. So no real change to the last commentary other than it looks like it's continuing to burn down very nice. It's hot here, so the GoPro is probably going to want to turn off in a few seconds, but yeah, very, very happy with how this looks. Staying controlled, I would say. Those trees, those, I don't know, 3, 4, or 5 trees there, the leaves are getting burnt off, so you know, it's possible I'm gonna lose those. I see one's already broke off from probably the storm, interestingly enough. We have a nice dirt pit here that's just really unusable dirt. You can see some metal there. So once this burns down, I'm not sure what I'm going to do exactly, if I'll push that, you know, over and kind of get this leveled back out and start stockpiling limbs and trees again over the next 5, 6, however many years as needed. In the distance there, you can see some grass clippings. Obviously, I could throw that on the fire. It'll just smoke, so I'm just going to leave that there. Maybe next time. There's some dirt piled up there, trying to get that to dry out so I can bring that up into the yard. And right behind the fire pit, another pile of dirt. You can see it's covered in weeds right now. So yeah, south pit update. One more little check here before we go on to the next thing. We'll stop back, to the pits throughout the day, every hour. Just continue to monitor, make sure everything's all right. But I thought I'd stop back before we get into the next thing. So all looks good. We're not going to get much closer than this. Lots of just burning through those core logs now. The branches and leaves are probably all burnt up because that's likely the driest and burns the quickest. So now it's just a slow burn, as they sometimes say. You can kind of see that right side up in there still. Looks like the flames are pretty high, but the rest of this is just slow burn. These limbs and branches closest to us, that's the greener stuff from just the last few weeks. So I'll be curious how that all burns down. I do believe, again, as I've said, it's probably plenty hot. And you can see the smoke is, you know, moving north. We got a southeast wind today, so there's some air feeding it for sure. So let's go check the other pit and then on to the next task. The south pit. Not quite as hot. Still hot, relative, but not quite as hot. We'll walk by it here. It feels pretty warm right there. Yes, it does. So we'll get a ways away here so the GoPro doesn't quit. Same thing, slow burn. Flames are not as high. There was some hay in there from a year or two ago that I threw in, but that's all burnt off. The leaves are mostly burnt off. A couple trees up there that have certainly been affected. Knew that was going to happen. You can kind of see in here the smoke is, for the most part, just going straight up. There's just not a lot of wind coming through here, but this looks great too. Some stumps in there. Clearly going to be lots of stumps. The dirt, that dirt pile is actually kind of holding it from going that way, which is great. Dirt pile here, weeds all around. We're in good shape. All right, let's take another peek. Smells like a bonfire. Definitely hot, but not as hot. That's good. Look at that. Perfect. Perfect, perfect. Looks good, huh? So as it burns down more, some of this fringe stuff I can throw in. Maybe later today, 3, 4, 5 o'clock. I guess we'll see. I could bring the track loader down and push some of that in. Or the excavator, as I said. Because you get up this close and it's still quite warm. And to be honest, if we didn't push any of it up, it's probably okay too. It'll take maybe even a week to fully burn down in the bottom there, in the depths of the fire. And then there's more branches to come. That's just the nature of the beast with the property. But I'm pleased with that. Not a hot dog fan, but it'd be a good time. Let's go check the other one. That looks real good. I think I mentioned lots of dirt on this side, dirt on that side, dirt behind. It's really going nowhere. Whoa, hold on. Yeah, I'd like to get these pushed up in there because that's a little more fresh, a little more green, but oh man, look at that. That's really burned down nice. Yeah, looks fantastic. Well, before we shut her down, let's go check our burn piles one more time, just to get that peace of mind before we go in for the day, or at least for dinner. I did throw a few pallets in. Those are just crappy pallets that aren't going to be worth keeping, so I might as well throw those on the fire. Off camera, I did come down here with the track loader and pushed things up, as you'll see here right now. But it looks real good. Kind of interesting how it's burning in the dirt pile there. But that was a heck of a pile that burnt down a long ways, and it'll continue, as you guys know, just over the next days and weeks. Some of it will continue to burn down, so that's great. Tomorrow maybe I'll push it up a little bit more. I just didn't want to get too aggressive with how I was doing that, knowing it was still pretty hot. Okay, let's get these pallets offloaded and get out of here. Same thing with this pit. I came and pushed it up a little bit. You can see that big log there. I was hoping to get it to catch on fire, but I'm not certain it's gonna. I see some smoke coming up here. I wonder what that's all about. Just probably in that pit there, but clearly, again, I've said this a few times, it's not going to go anywhere with those green weeds. It's still hot in there. Yeah, this kind of got stretched out. You can see it's, and then all along the back there, that's all that dirt that I gathered when we were cleaning the park, and it's no good dirt full of branches and limbs, and it'll decompose over time. It'll be fine just there, just the way it is. But again, happy with this. Morning. Beautiful, beautiful morning. After all the humidity and heat we've had, as you can tell, I got a vest on. This is a very welcome morning. I'm much more of a layers kind of guy than no shirt at all because it's so hot and humid. Just thought I'd come down here to the park quick, check on our 2 burn pits. It was one of our first projects we started here on this video. Still smoking, probably will smoke for another week, 2 weeks. I did push that up and that looks real good. Be adding to it over the next month, I guess, as I get time and share with you guys on the video. A few more trees to take out, branches to trim. So that pile will forever be, but I'm happy that it's burnt down. We'll just walk over here to the south burn pile and check on it quick and then get on with our day. So this is power, clearly, down by the river. At one point I wanted to have a pump down here and pump water from the river for my irrigation. Just didn't work out for a multitude of reasons. One, it was 300 foot plus just to get to the edge there up by the building. Pretty good elevation increase. So we've kind of abandoned this power. But I just walked by here. I'm like, why is there a stick sticking out of here? Well, that would be why. And the bird just flew out, so the bird isn't in there anymore. I think I'm going to remove the nest. I don't think we want a nest in there. Also looks very good. I'm guessing that's going to burn even deeper, which is fantastic. That's going to burn a long time. Also just fine. Or smolder, I guess, probably the better term. But this is great. This pile was ginormous. So super happy with this. Probably the last you guys will see of these pits until the next video when we start adding to it with more logs, branches, and I don't know, maybe burn it this time next year. So you'll see that in an upcoming video. Okay, let's move on.